another approach. This approach is known as multiple intelligences. And as the name it says, it will talks about how the mind, the brain, process information and what are the strengths and weaknesses every human being has for processing the information thanks to the different skills our brain has. So the origin of multiple intelligences goes back with Howard Gardner. This scientist proposed the existence of a multiple number of human intelligences. In fact, he defined the term intelligence as the capacity to solve problems or to fashion products that are valued in one or more cultural setting and a detailed set of criteria for what counts as a human intelligence. In other words, when we talk about intelligence in terms of Howard Gardner's theory, we need to identify which is my brain capacity to solve a daily life problem. For instance, I need to take some notes on the space I have left for storing something in a room. So if I consider myself that only by visualizing that space, I can predict how I'm going to store the items, that is to say that my visual intelligence is more developed. Rather, if instead of just visualizing, I need to take measures and then as quickly as possible, I determine the space with mathematics numbers, I can say that I have more developed my mathematical intelligence. That's how we can interpret the idea of multiple intelligences. So that's why human beings differ from one intelligence to another. And for Howard Gardner, the possible reason why human exhibits a range of intelligences, it may vary for hereditary or environmental reasons. Probably because you have developed more, I don't know, probably your visual skills, in this case, intelligence, and later you may discover that you are also good at processing numbers and making some operations, mathematics operations, but probably you discover later by formal instruction. So, what is a multiple intelligence theory? It is a rationalistic model that describes nine different types of intelligences, and it has evolved in response to the need to reach better understanding of how cognitive individual differences can be addressed and developed in the classroom. So here, as you could see in the picture, there are the different types of intelligences. And these are at the beginning, there were seven intelligences. Check the year 1989. That was like the first step that Howard Gardner did. Logical mathematics, and it is more for discern logical or numerical patterns. The other, the linguistic intelligence, sensitive to sounds, rhythm, and meanings of words. That's why it is said that we, as linguists, we have more developed that linguistic intelligence. Musical intelligence, this the ability to produce and appreciate rhythm, pitch, and timbre. That's why when we are teaching languages, we need also to develop our students' musical intelligence, spatial. capacities to perceive the visual spatial world accurately. The other is body kinesthetic, abilities to control one's body movements and to handle objects skillfully. Interpersonal capacities to discern and respond appropriately to the moods, temperaments, motivation. And intrapersonal access to one's own feelings and the ability to discriminate among them and draw upon them to guide behavior. The intrapersonal intelligence is another one that we as language teachers need to promote among our language learners because in this way we may prepare students to surpass some obstacles they will face when they are learning language. And then intelligences for Gardner are understood as cognitive capacities. And remember that those abilities or capacities will differ from one human being to another. It is said that all human beings will have all those capacities or intelligences. Nevertheless, some of them are more developed than others. That's the only difference we may have among human beings. And then later, Gardner in 1999 included another intelligences, which are naturalistic and existential intelligence. The naturalistic is being conscious about our surroundings and especially in the nature. And the last one, the existential intelligence is to be conscious that we are human beings, part of a societal of a society, and then we need to coexist with others. So we need to make all the efforts possible to coexist with our colleagues. Then, in general terms, multiple intelligences are of neutral value. None of them is considered superior to the others. Probably we may find more interested in cultivating one of those capacities more than the other. Nevertheless, we need to be aware that as language users, we need to develop more of linguistic intelligence to some extent. Then we need to remember that Gardner's cognitive model proposed that human beings are multidimensional subjects, and as multidimensional subjects, we need to develop not only our more cognitive capacities, but other abilities such as physical, artistic, and spiritual. That's why MIT recognizes that learning involves physical and affective domains. And physical and affective domains also are involved or are part of our cognitive development. So when we go with language teaching, language is not seen as limited to a linguistics perspective, but also encompasses all aspects of communication, interaction with others, that's the intrapersonal intelligence. Be conscious of how we can surpass our mistakes, intrapersonal intelligence. Now, how we are able to deduce information that is not explicitly stated, visual intelligence. So, the MIT instructional perspective proposes that language learning can be favored by using a variety of learning tasks, which call upon diverse intelligences. You see? That's the relationship we may find within the multiple intelligence theory and language teaching. We need to use a variety of learning tasks which call upon different intelligences. Here, we may see some examples of the MIT applied in language teaching. The logical mathematical frame Remember that our logical mathematical intelligence give us the ability to use numbers. So here we can see problem solving tasks that focus mainly on meaning. For instance, we can use constant reading to solve the problem. And then the purpose is that we acquire a familiarity with the vocabulary and grammar structures. Then, with the body kinesthetic frame, the intelligence refers to the ability to use body to express oneself. That's why we may use some role plays, drama, games, project work. The purpose is that students also move their bodies at the same time they are using language. You see? These are some examples of how we can use the different multiple intelligences for learning a language. So, multiple intelligences is an approach that can be also used for language learning and teaching. You see? So, let me see just like a short video of how we can use multiple intelligences for learning a language. Here we will have that. Wait a minute.
Multiple intelligences is a controversial theory that suggests people with strong logical mathematical intelligence, fears, and motivations and challenging to test scientifically, distinguish among different types of plants, animals, and weather formations and landscapers. Importantly, this theory is
And as usual, everything has some criticism. So let's see which are those criticisms.
widely criticized by educational psychologists. One major criticism is that the theory lacks empirical evidence. Critics argue that Gardner's intelligences more closely resemble individual talents, preferences, or personality traits rather than actual intelligences. Some psychologists also believe that the theory is non-falsifiable and challenging to test scientifically, which is a hallmark of pseudoscience. However, proponents of the concept argue it has value in education. For example, it has been influential in encouraging a broader curriculum that incorporates music, arts, and physical education. It has also encouraged educators to focus more closely on students' different talents, personalities, and preferences.
That's how we can take advantage of multiple intelligences to personalize learning, in fact. Personalized learning, I'm not referring just to having a specific activity for every of your 40 students. No, but taking into consideration the different learning styles and preferences for including activities that favors those intelligences, if we may say.
In order to cater to their needs in the classroom. The concept also empowers people by helping them recognize their unique strengths and capabilities. So,
That is how we are going to perceive multiple intelligences in language teaching. I don't know, to some extent, can you tell me if you have any comment, any question, something that have considered relevant, something that you may consider interesting from what we see about the multiple intelligence theory?
De mi parte, no, profe, todo está bien. Gracias.
Okay, thanks so much. Now we will just see another excerpt of a video of multiple intelligences in the classroom.
Campañas más inteligentes, usando datos first party del ecosistema de Mercado Libre. Acelera con Mercado Ads.
Paquetes a la naturaleza.
here you could see how important it is to make some activities in which students need to share ideas, and they need to speak in the target language. That's how you are going to develop their interpersonal intelligence. Here you are combining the use of technology with the development of interpersonal intelligence, as you could see.
Uno, dos, tres. I'm a soul verb. Ego side. I'm a soul verb. But only in the soul of the shoe. Oh my.
So here you can also develop a kind of chant just to practice something theoretical grammar explanation, and then you may take into consideration that musical intelligence. Or also, as here you can include, like for instance, when you are teaching body parts, include the classical sound, the head, shoulder, knees, and toes. You are also activating the kinesthetic intelligence. This is another activity in which we may activate both kinesthetic and linguistic intelligence. When you ask students to give directions to get from point A to point B, and if you have the opportunity in the school to go around and then give directions, what is the headmaster's office, what is the bathroom, what's the cafeteria, what's the library, what is the civic yard, and then you need to give some directions. You are taking into consideration these two intelligences. For instance, when you use word wall application, the word wall, you are also activating student linguistic intelligence with the use of technology. And also, for instance, I don't know, sometimes, let me see, it's word wall, the word wall. I don't know, probably comparative and superlative adjectives. Well, we will see. Wait a minute. This one. We will try to do it. So at the same time, you are activating not only the linguistic intelligence of your students, but also the critical thinking skills. In what sense? Check it. It's like a game. No? All right. So here you have this game. Elephants are, and then you need to move, as you could see, no? You need to move this little, and then the idea is, oops, and you were fulminated. So as you could see, you need also to develop those critical reasoning skills. So we run, 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 run. Why? You see? So that's also how you can use technology and at the same time, well, you are also using the development of those multiple intelligences. All right. So I don't know if you have any other comment, a question about the multiple intelligence theory. Nothing else? Something that have called your attention in this last part of how through some activities you can activate multiple intelligences? Any idea that have called your attention? Well,
Ah,
ajá,
sí, profe,
Evelyn.
yo sí,
Adelante, Evelyn.
sí me podría dar una explicación como general, es que como que sí me quedé con eso del tema, no entendí muy bien.
Las inteligencias múltiples es una teoría desarrollada por Howard Gardner y lo que él llama inteligencias lo podemos nosotros comprender como capacidades cognitivas. De acuerdo a Howard Gardner, existen 9 inteligencias o 9 tipos de capacidades cognitivas. No obstante, hay algunos críticos que le llaman que no tiene un sustento teórico sólido el hablar de inteligencias, en el hecho de que todos somos inteligentes. Por eso es de que se puede interpretar el término como capacidades cognitivas, 9 tipos de capacidades cognitivas. Si bien es cierto que no es una teoría exclusivamente dirigida para el aprendizaje de idiomas, sí se puede tener en cuenta, dijéramos por ahí, las preferencias del estudiantado por un cierto tipo de actividades. En el ejemplo que se está mostrando al final y también aquí es el marco o la inteligencia kinestésica que se refiere al uso del cuerpo para expresarse uno y también para poder con habilidad llevar objetos, se puede ver en una actividad que implique los roleplays, los juegos de roles o que desarrollen tal vez también trabajo por proyectos. En ese se está favoreciendo la inteligencia kinestésica. También en el ejemplo que veíamos en el video, el otro tipo de inteligencia que se favorece en el, por ejemplo, seguir direcciones es poder desplazarse, pero también interpretar, moverse a la izquierda, moverse a la derecha, moverse hacia atrás, en medio, atrás de. Eso también implica los dos tipos de inteligencia, la kinestésica y la lingüística. Entonces, para la enseñanza de una lengua extranjera, la teoría de las inteligencias múltiples, más que tomarse como un enfoque de enseñanza, es una serie de principios que pueden guiar al profesor en la selección del material didáctico, así como también de la selección de las actividades de aprendizaje. No sé si me di a comprender mejor.
Sí, maestro, gracias, me quedó claro.
Muy bien. ¿Alguien más? ¿Stephanie o Ana Karen?
No, profe, todo bien.
Igual de mi parte todo bien, profe.
Muy bien. Muchas gracias